When we last left the story of great Beowulf, he had just killed Grendel in Hrothgar's high hall, and was out celebrating as such, the drinking hall coming alive with stories and party, as Grendel's arm was hung from the rafters. Lovely decor, I'm sure. All was not well, however, as Grendel's death stirred something to life, something angry. A fellow monster, only known as Grendel's mother, a fellow child of Cain, and one far more dangerous. She marched to Heorot upon the hill, opened the doors and marched in as they slept. It was swift. An unlucky advisor to Hrothgar was slain. Then the rafters broken as she took her son's arm and left. Beowulf was stirred from his slumber at the news, and urged to follow her, to avenge Ashera, the advisor who died, and to put an end to her. Gates gathered and equipment donned, Beowulf headed to her lair. And like any swordsman on a quest, the story describes the travel as swiftly as possible to get to the fight. A narrow pass, dangerous untraveled pathways, haunted woods, sudden rivers, and then the shores of a blood-stained lake. Ashera's head sat on a pike, a warning for those who followed, and it worked on all but one, Beowulf. The leader of the Yeats then plunged into the gory depths, his armor described in this moment as making war unable to harm the hero. And he went further and further down. A day passed as Beowulf sank and sank and sank, and just as the bottom came to view, he was grabbed and yanked into Grendel's mother's lair. He was thrown to the floor among treasures and weapons from ages past, Grendel's mother obviously being one to keep anything she could take from her victims. And then the fight was out. He charged, sword in hand, and leapt at her, his blade shimmering as it swung, meeting her flesh, yet causing no damage. This blade, which could cleft helmets with ease, failed to bite into her, and as like her ancient predecessor Cain, it would appear, she would feel no harm from the weapons of man. Beowulf attempted to cast the sword aside, and as with Grendel wrestle her, yet that proved fruitless. He was the one thrown about and pinned. Had his armor not been so great, and he not favored by God, Grendel's mother surely would have slain him here, with a blade of her own. Instead, the mail split, and Beowulf could rise, ready to fight again. As they scrapped amid the gems and blades, Beowulf found it. A giant sword, larger than any normal man could handle. A blade detailing the great flood. A blade. As they scrapped amid the gems and blades, Beowulf found it. A giant sword, larger than any normal man could handle. A blade detailing the great flood. A blade not of man's hands, but of giants. And it was with this sword, amid conflict he smote the she-fiend. The giantess fell with the mighty blow, and Beowulf could claim his first prize, Grendel as well. With the monster slain, he returned to Hrothgar, and was awarded accordingly. And though he did many things after, none were truly epic enough to be recorded, until many a decade had passed, and now an old king himself, Beowulf heard the wing beats of a giant dragon. That, however, is a story for a different day. As always, thanks for watching.